Hey guys, and welcome to the first episode of 2021. I'm super stoked to be here. It's been some time now. I've had a great December holiday. We've had a hell of a lot of rain, so things are really looking up. Very special episode to kick off 2021. I've joined a very good friend of mine, actually become a family member now, Patrick Dugan. We've been on a 18-day safari. It's been absolutely incredible. Some of the most unforgettable moments I've had since I became a PH. I feel very privileged to have done what we've done this past week. Before we get going, just got to give a big shout out to Splitting Image Taxidermy, Tacticam, Trees in Camo, and Maxxis Tires. A very big thank you to everyone that supported me thus far. And sit back, relax, and enjoy. We'll catch up with you guys soon. Pat, welcome back on the show. Good to have you here, my friend.
Thank you.
It's been 2 years now since we last chat.
Year and a half.
It's good to have you back, and you've come over in a very special time of the year. And but before we get into it, just introduce yourself again to those of you that haven't know our history and how far we've come.
Okay. Well, I'm Patrick Dugan from Arizona. I met Greg with Hunters Hill at SCI in Vegas. Oh, it's got to be about 5 years ago now. Obviously, I believe I met you at the same time.
Yeah.
And we didn't book until the next year. So we've been coming for 4 years. It's our fourth year now. Luckily, we just made it in 2020, just by a day or two. So we can call it 4 years in a row. So.
Yeah. Well, Patman, we know you guys have had quite a few issues coming out here. For those of the guys that want to come out and they want to come and experience how beautiful it's been now since we've got all our rain and stuff. But what were some of the challenges, obviously getting through all the borders and stuff as flights with this whole COVID thing that's going along? What were some of the challenges that you could help the guys that are looking to come out with?
Well, I would just strongly suggest that, first and foremost, find out where you're flying through. Right now, I don't believe any straight through flights from America to Johannesburg are taking place until, I believe it's April 1st. So if you're coming anytime before that, you're going to connect through somewhere in Europe.
Okay.
So if it's Amsterdam, I can tell you right now, Amsterdam, your COVID test must be good 72 hours upon arrival, not departure from the U.S. And remember, you're traveling basically into the future.
Yeah.
And they don't take that into consideration. So it's very important. Otherwise, you could. We were in Detroit, and they were counting the minutes from our test to see if we could get on the
72
plane.
hours before you land in Amsterdam or Johannesburg?
In Amsterdam. That was Amsterdam's rule.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Coming to Johannesburg, it just had to be 72 hours prior to the trip itself from first flight. But Amsterdam, it had to be within 72 hours upon arrival, so it makes it much more difficult. And you also have to really make sure that you're reading up and check with your airlines, because we showed up with a rapid test, which was acceptable here in South Africa, and Delta Airlines said, no, you're going to take a PCR test. So the Saturday that we were supposed to fly out, we ended up having to travel back to the home, which were 2 hours from the airport, sit down, rebook all the flights, get COVID tests, and then pray that the COVID test came back in time, because obviously in America right now it's blowing up, and they're not just testing, but everybody's testing every other day.
Yeah.
And I think we took 7 tests in 10 days, and I still don't have 2 results
Oh,
from those tests. Yeah. The very first PCR test I ever took, I never did get the results from it.
Yes. That's crazy, because Ash was telling me you guys were driving all around, not just even Prescott, just all over the show.
Oh yeah, we drove about 120 miles out of our way. to get a test. And luckily that was the test that came back.
Yeah.
And allowed us to take the flight. The other ones that we took in our hometown, they didn't come back.
Okay.
So.
But Pat, you mentioned that there's no direct flights into Johannesburg or Cape Town. That's just Delta, right? SAA, I think we're done with you guys in America now. We don't fly.
No. There's supposed to be. I got to think about this. I believe it's. I think it's Continental. Maybe the Continental's not exist anymore. Maybe it's United.
Okay.
They're going to start flying back, I guess, out of Atlanta.
Okay.
To Johannesburg as of April 1st. And I only heard that through a couple of the other gentlemen that have hunted here before that I keep in contact over there with.
Okay, and it's just almost in time because now I think Greg mentioned to us last night that Fly Safari will be able to bring rifles in, so that sort of limits the hassle, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't even bring my guns this time because part of the problem that we had was I was going to have to fill out a separate permit for Delta, a separate permit for KLM, just to be on their flights, and then I also had to apply for a permit in Amsterdam to allow that gun to travel through Amsterdam.
Shit.
Obviously, you know me, I like to bring my guns, and just having bought a brand new double rifle, I would have loved to have brought it.
Yeah.
But, going through all that paperwork and not knowing what was going to happen, it was just easier to wait. And obviously, I mean, you guys handle your weapons very well. I mean, they were spot on. I wasn't so much this time, but
no, man.
a few missed shots, but.
But Pat, before we get into the safari and all that sort of stuff, since you've been here, a whole bunch of things have been happening in the States political-wise. So just for us, especially the South Africans, we don't know too much about your guys' politics. I mean, we follow the news a little bit, but what we see and what's actually happening out there isn't always told in the correct way. But the whole Biden-Trump thing, when Biden takes office, what does this mean for us as South Africans and especially our industry here that, Trump had a lot to play with and how successful it's become?
Yeah, that's a tough question. I'm at a little bit of a loss myself with this whole thing because I'm extremely fearful of what Biden's going to do. I mean, he hasn't even taken the oath yet.
Yeah.
And taken the office, and he's already declared that he was going to try to abolish the NRA, which NRA is Second Amendment. They're the ones that fight so hard for the Second Amendment. You take away the Second Amendment, the guns go away, and where does hunting go from there?
Yeah.
Especially
you guys. I mean, you guys are probably one of the biggest hunting industries there is in the world at the moment. And I mean, to take that away, I mean, it's taking away your guys' pride and joy and everything like that. But as far as the financial point, is there any implications as of yet, or is it still hard to say?
It's still really hard to say. No one's going to be able to really see. Obviously, even with Trump, I think we would have stood a better chance economically of recovering from this COVID under Trump as a businessman.
Okay.
Than the typical politician of let's just throw money at it. And right now, and this is kind of a sad fact, but right now in the United States, every man, woman, and child. Now that means every man, woman, and child. In America, with where our debt stands right now, owes the U.S. government $165,000. Okay, now you take your children who are under the age of 16; they're not paying taxes.
Yeah.
How many does that take out? Take out your retired, your people that are on Social Securities and things like that. They're not going to be able to pay that money. And then you take your welfare system, who are the people who just don't pay anything. Period. And that leaves a very small group of people.
Yeah.
Who are stuck paying that bill, and that quickly turns into $500,000.
Yeah.
Because you reduce all those other people paying that.
Yeah.
It's going to become a point where who's going to pay it?
Yeah.
And right now, our standing with a lot of other countries right now are not well because of that debt ratio.
Okay. Oh yes, but scary times ahead. Especially, it's just so crazy for me that the political side of things has such a huge part to play, especially in us. I mean, we rely on what happens heavily in the the political side of things there in the States, and it's frustrating, because we can do as much as we like, and I mean you've seen how beautiful it's looking at the moment. So I hope it doesn't scare a lot of the guys from coming out here, because after last year, I mean, our industry took a huge knock. So we're going to need as many tourists and travelers and all that as much as possible for 2021, just to try and recuperate a little bit of what we've lost. But in some sense, it's been kind of a blessing in disguise, because I mean, you've driven around at the moment. It's beautiful, and the animals are amazing, and it's something special. So what would you say to the guys that are still considering coming out here but just a little bit nervous?
I would say come. I mean, the beauty about life is an adventure. You can't put life on hold. No one knows what's going to happen next year, the year after. I've told you this many a times. I'm a believer in God. When our number's up, our number's up. It's time to go. Don't take the chance of having to sit back and say, well, I'll wait, because you may not make it to that waiting date. Come now. Is it difficult? Yeah, it was difficult for me. I think it's going to get a little easier. I don't know what's going to happen with Biden in the 60-day, because while he was doing his campaigning, he said point blank he was going to shut down for 60 days the entire country. Will he? I don't think he's, really quite honest with you, I don't think he's that dumb enough. I don't think he's dumb enough to shut down the country, because he knows it would collapse the country immediately. I mean, you can look around the rest of the world and see everybody who shut down, completely shut down. SA, in fact, how bad did it hurt your country to completely shut down? You can't do that. You can't. People still need to pay their bills, and if people don't realize that your taxes are what pays the government, and the government pays the bills.
Yeah.
So if nobody's making money to pay the taxes, then how does the government pay the bills?
Yeah.
It just incurs more debt, and that can't happen. But honestly, anybody who's coming, get on a plane, come.
Yeah.
You might find a few challenges. Luckily, with me, I was persistent, strong-headed. I was going to be here no matter what happened. Yeah. And I fought back, and I got on those planes. Just do your homework. Don't take it for granted that this is 2 years ago. You book a flight, you jump on a plane, and you're out of there. Yeah. It's not going to happen. Know where you're going. Know the rules, and call the airlines. Call those airlines and find out, and say, what do I need? Because it's simply said that again, that was one of the things that stopped us. We should have been here 4 days earlier.
Yeah.
But we looked at SA accepting a rapid test, and Delta said no, it had to be PCR. So know what your airlines wants. Know what your transition city or airport, know what they want, and have it in hand. Okay. And then it's going to be much easier.
Yeah.
I would suggest right now, I think bringing your own weapon is probably it. I don't think it's going to be easy.
Yeah.
It never is easy to bring them. It's not hard.
Yeah.
It's just there's some hurdles you have to cross, and I would say right now, leave your gun at home.
Okay.
The guns here, they're spot on.
Yeah.
I mean, at a Spurs notice last night, we're standing around the lodge, and word comes in that there's a buffalo bull that he's not going to make it much longer. Rather than let him suffer, we go out and we put him down. And I put a gun in my arms that I'd never had in my arms before, and placed 3 beautiful shots into that buffalo, and he made it maybe 15, 20 yards.
If that, yeah.
Yeah, and went down. So, trust the PHs. Always trust your PHs. And you should have done your due diligence before you came here anyway, to know who your PH is. We've talked about this many days where we've had, my very first trip to Africa was a bad trip. We didn't know enough about our PH. Now, hell, I think I know every PH on the property now. And, most of you are family to me. It's not a worry to me. There's a lot of people out there that are worried because it's their first trip. Don't worry. Come, have fun. Enjoy South Africa, because it is stunningly beautiful at this moment.
Yeah.
And I would recommend to anybody, get on a plane now and come, because it is I have never seen this in 5 trips to Africa. I've never seen this place so pristine, so full of water, so full of life. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I just to touch on that do your homework part of things. I think now without having SEI and Dallas and all that sort of stuff, it's going to be more important now than ever before to try and get hold of your outfit and actually find out your pH beforehand. Make sure that everything, all their ducks in a row from that side, because I think the show has made it more. It made it easier for the clients, more at ease. They were more at ease because they were talking to the outfitter before they came over for the year or whatever the case may be. So jump on social media now and just try and get hold of whoever's may hunt you as far as professional hunting and guiding is concerned, because there shouldn't be any excuses now from not doing your homework. You know what I mean? So
for sure.
It's extremely important, and it makes it tougher now that the shows and stuff aren't on. But social media has made it easier, I guess.
Even with the shows, because I like the first hunt I ever did, it was with a hunt that I booked through SEI, and we thought the guy was great. You're always in every industry. You're going to have the car salesman.
Yeah.
You're going to have him. He was the owner of his property and his lodge, and things went bad quickly. I sat down again. Like I said, the first time I ever met Greg, sat down, we talked, and again, knowing that he was the owner of the company. It did put me at ease, and I think you'll find that the majority of the guys who are going to SEI, Dallas Safari Club, those are the owners.
Yeah.
I think I truly like, and with the way that I've been treated as a part of the family, as part of this company now, I love to go to the shows, because there's always those people that no matter what you guys say, you're still asking them to travel 3/4 of the way around the world to spend a lot of money. And I love the fact that I'm able to help, and I don't make any money at it, don't care to make any money at it. I don't want any of that. There's a lot of the, I'll call them leeches, that are trying to suck off the back of you that are trying to make a dime. And being treated as fairly as I've been treated, there's no way that I could possibly charge Greg or anybody else. I mean, even Spain Safaris, with Luis and Pedro, I've helped them just weeks ago, having somebody call me and say, hey, who are these guys? You know what? And that's one thing that you should always do too. Talk to your friends. Did they have a good time?
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of, I think, with Hunter's Hill, being that it's the size that it is, they're able to run a good number of clients through here. And that allows for the word of mouth. You will always have the one client that's, they're just not going to say anything good about you. I was a business owner. I understand the same thing. I have over 1,200 customers a year. I always get the one that goes on and posts the bad. Oh, he wouldn't call me back, or he was so expensive, or whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be, there's always the one who just, you were never going to click with them anyway. But there's all those other ones that will be more than happy to recommend you. I mean, I pass cards to my clients all the time upon their request, so that they can tell their friends about me.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with your industry. Talk to your friends. If you haven't done this, ask for a reference list. Contact your PH, contact your outfitter, and say, look, I'd really like to, I like the way this is. I just want to hear from a client's perspective. How is this?
Yeah, references. Yeah,
what can I expect? What should I do? What should I take? And one of the things that, it's still hard for me, only bring 2 pair of hunting clothes.
Yeah.
That, you're packing for 2 weeks. You're going, geez, I'm hunting every day, but that's really the case. You only pack with 2 sets of hunting clothes, because even the worst case scenario, you might have to double day one if we end up in a place like we did. We're in Uniondale.
Yeah.
New lodge. There's the facilities aren't 100% yet as far as staffing and everything else. And it is what it is. But sometimes when you're hunting, you look at some of these hunts in America, you'll be in the backwoods for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
There's no shower. So does it really matter? No. But pack light, bring an extra suitcase for all the stuff you can take home.
Yeah.
There's, I don't know how with COVID this is going to happen with the little market by the sea, as I like to call it, in East London. Will it be there? I don't know. The little curios, always the trinkets, and obviously you're putting it right back into the people's hands.
Yeah.
Who need that? They're making those products. Give it to them.
Yeah. Generating income back into the community. It's extremely important. Yeah. But Pat, well, let's get into it. So your safari started on the 1st. And we managed to get an animal that I don't think many people will be able to come. Tell us a bit more about.
Well, there again, you kind of have to pick. You have to pick your guides and your PHs very well, and I think that I've been very blessed. Receiving a phone call. I think it must have been about 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock your time.
Yeah.
It was 6 o'clock my time. I'm literally brushing my teeth, and I get a call. Hey, I got an Orby tag for you. I think I'd rather won a $500 million lottery ticket, but I'll take the Orby. That was such a good feeling. I couldn't believe that fact, because when we had first seen him, in 2019 together, I said, I want that. And you said, good luck.
Yeah.
It's a 5 or 6 year wait. And as we found out hunting with Jeff on that property, it's really about an 8 or 10 year waiting list. So, blessed, fortunate, whatever you want to call it, yes. And what an amazing hunt. Going from straight off the plane, 2.5 hour drive, get to the house where the property is at, unload all the luggage, throw on a hunting shirt, throw on some hunting shoes, and off we go. And again, right by the beaches and everything, and the
scenery was beautiful.
Stunning.
Yeah.
Absolutely stunning. And I don't care. Anybody they can argue with me till the end of time. I've never seen a more beautiful ocean than the Indian Ocean on the Eastern Cape.
Yeah.
And that, just being able to hunt the Orby back there again, overlooking those views, that ocean, the camaraderie, meeting a new PH. That obviously some people don't realize that there's certain things that you can't hunt in certain areas. You have to go to an outside source, and obviously Jeff, and I'm sorry I can't remember Jeff's last name.
Jeff Ford.
Jeff Ford, yes. Yeah. Jeff Ford was gracious. Obviously, he's the one you contacted to get the tag through, and he was a very lovely man. I mean, he was interested in who I was, and immediately became friends. And wanted to make sure that our trip was started off in a prim and proper. And I think in true form of the Dugan love relationship here, I think we were probably just maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. We located a great ram and made a good shot.
Yeah, perfect.
And that, I could have been done right there.
Yeah.
That really was, the one thing that, I knew I would probably never get in my lifetime because of that waiting list.
Yeah.
And knowing that I not only got that tag, but I actually was able to take that animal in such an amazing place with such a stellar group of guys. Why not? I could have been done right there, and I'd have been happy for the next 2 weeks. But in true love fashion, we made it a little better. It just got better and better.
But the Orby side is also pretty cool because it's one of our greatest success stories as far as the Eastern Cape's concerned with that particular animal. I mean, there were dwindling numbers, less than 1,000 at one stage. But like guys like Jeff, and that's obviously why the waiting list for the permit is so long, is because they carefully monitored and they've brought their numbers up. And it's just, it just goes to show that hunting those animals that a couple of years ago had no value to being one of the most valuable species definitely the most valuable in the Tiny 10 list, but definitely on any other outfitter's price list, it's probably one of the most valuable species that there is. It's just an incredible little animal, and it's great to see and be a part of it now as far as conservation is concerned, because not a lot of people understand these sort of things,
That the conservation is the 100% key. If there's no value on animal, there's no reason. Most people in this world have no idea of the abundance of animals or the inabundance of animals.
Yeah.
Along with the types of animals that are in this world. Some of these people, if you ask probably 99% of the Americans, you said, what is an oribi?
Yeah.
They would have no idea what that animal is. And to them, it's sad. Obviously the whole thing with the rhino and the elephants and things like that. Yes, they're, poachers are taking them out. But let's open that hunting back up.
Yeah.
Let's open the importations back up. This thing will turn around. It will turn around. The lion is the big one right now because of Cecil. And all because of one bad pH.
Yeah.
Knew that was coming off, and technically, the lion was still taken legally. It came off the reserve. The animal leaves the reserve. The same thing in the United States. If the animal comes off of a park, he's legal game. That's just how it's going to work. But unfortunately, there's so much outrage over that now, the numbers of lions in South Africa are dwindling.
Yeah.
People, they're putting them down because they can't afford to feed them. That's the wrong avenue to take for conservation.
Yeah.
And the oribi is fantastic. I can't believe, if you can go from just literally 1,000 of those little buggers, and now, we were talking, I think it was Grant was saying there was one property where they counted 130 pair.
Yeah. Well, you've seen it for yourself. Everywhere you drive in that area, you see them. It's beautiful. It really is. It's something special to admire, When it's all, there's no thank you. This is a particular case because I think the rhino situation is always, you'll have like somebody that's, we call them tree huggers and all that sort of stuff, getting involved and throwing their 2 cents around. But with a little animal like that, there's not many conservation groups as far as tree huggers are concerned that have got involved. It's purely just from hunting. Those numbers have increased only from hunting, and it's incredible to see, and it's special. When you take something like that, it's the hunting is all good and all that sort of stuff, and the moments are very, very special. But to give back to conservation as much as that, it's special.
Well, and one of the animals that we took yesterday, it's the new and upcoming in America. It's the giraffe.
Oh, really?
They're pumping. San Diego Zoo is pumping ads left and right. The numbers of giraffes will be extinct in the next 5 years. No, they won't.
You've seen the numbers.
One ranch. One ranch. There's over 100. What is it, 125? Something of that nature.
Yeah.
Okay, on one ranch. That's just one of Greg's ranches. I believe he has 2 other ranches with giraffes on them.
Yeah.
We know Rockland's.
Comrie,
Yeah. Okay, Comrie. I don't know about the Bella Bella.
Yeah.
But this is one man that owns several.
Yeah.
And it's exactly what he was when we talked to him yesterday. Hey, we seen this lovely bull in this area. Hey, let's make sure there's another bull with that herd. I don't want to be leaving that herd without a bull, so make sure there's 2 bulls before you take one out. The conservation. Obviously, how do you keep breeding them if you take out the only bull? So, in that small herd, we were able to locate the second bull, and we took out the bigger bull, the nicer, older bull, who really had a neck injury. Was he at full potential? So, and again, obviously with the buffalo, you're looking at an animal that, he would have only lasted maybe another 2 weeks at best.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah, you push on his hips and tell that there wasn't much left there.
Yeah.
He was dwindling badly. So, true conservation.
So then we got the RB, and what did we do? Oh, we went to St. Francis for a bit of downtime.
We went to St. Francis to hang out with the quote-unquote family.
Yeah.
Which was nice. I understand that I was the first non-family person to be at Greg's beachside house. and it was stellar. That was a good. I think we got there a little late that evening or whatever, but the whole next day and the morning, the day after.
But then, Pat, then we headed off to Uniondale, and we were after a specific species over there, the Cape Gracebuck. Also part of one of our conservation packages, but just a really cool little animal, but luck wasn't on our side there.
Yeah.
But we managed to, from there, we got a couple of nice springbuck, because that's a little
three very nice springbuck out of that.
And we got a zebra.
Yep, we got the zebra, 2 dikers.
Yeah,
and a 5 7/8 diker.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
That won't happen again for a very, very long time.
Yeah, exactly. And then we pulled through to Willamore, back into the Eastern Cape, and we went for a klipspringer. Tell us a bit about that.
So, klipspringer, there's actually been a couple animals on this trip that I really, typically I do a little due diligence on my own and study the animal a little bit so I know what I'm looking at, what I'm looking for. This last year's been a little bit rough. Business was rough, and so much other stuff on my mind that I didn't do that. But, again, having a good guide who has resources outside and having those resources be good resources, we were able to get onto another farm. And these were free roam, sheep farm. Yeah. Nice big white, rugged cliffs. Just a beautiful driving up through the valley, and obviously spotting some right away. A missed shot. You guys went up and checked to make sure that he wasn't down or anything of that nature, just to make sure, which is again due diligence. And we were able to gather back up around a corner, and it was only 2 minutes in the buggy, and we located another one, and we actually were able to get video of that hunt there. And we shot a beautiful ram.
What do you think of the animal? It's pretty cool. Unique.
It's extremely unique, and as I've said to you and a few of the others, it's the only animal that I have seen in South Africa that is so closely resembling to anything in the United States. And that's the pronghorn. I mean, the hair, how soft their little bodies are, the hair sloughing so quickly, just a fragile skin, and the texture of the hair is so very close to the pronghorn antelope. It kind of set me back a little bit. I thought, well, I've killed so much over here that it doesn't really resemble anything of ours. And to have that one do that, it was special.
Yeah.
And a little bit mind numbing at the same time. It's like, God, how can they be so far apart and
so close,
and have that? The hollow hair to keep them warm, and the fragile bodies and everything else. So
very, very cool animal. Definitely, probably, I think it comes very close second on my list as part of my favorite animals to hunt. And then we headed back to Uniondale. We tried for the Gracebuck a couple of nights. Just we saw absolutely nothing. And
I think bad information.
Then we headed back into the Eastern Cape, actually back to where you shot your Oribi. We joined up with Jeff again, and did we do the Gracebuck?
We did the Gracebuck there. Yes. Yeah, Gracebuck, and then we added on. We were always going to go back and do the Blue Diker.
Yeah.
And because there was no Gracebuck at Uniondale, we decided to let him help us out with that.
Yeah.
He helped us out with that, and then in driving down, the 3-hour drive, kind of thought, gosh, we really should put a bushbuck on that list for Asha.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And we literally that I think I understand how important the Gracebuck is to the Tiny 10 package and what it means to me, but it was certainly special to be able to go back to the same farm, and within, gosh, even by the bird flies, I don't think it was maybe a quarter mile from where she shot hers from where I shot mine.
Oh yeah,
I mean, and to play a part of that, because you guys set off to go look at one, and unfortunately, being that it's near a city, the helicopter flew over, spooked it off. But on your guys' way back, we were able to say, hey, no.
Yeah.
There's another one coming. Go back. And she took a stellar animal.
She actually took a flipping awesome shot as well. So yeah, no, that was magnificent. And the blue darker, enjoy that.
Yeah. The blue diker, that is extremely challenging hunt.
Yeah.
Where you have to be in. Obviously, we did one afternoon hunt the day we took the Orby, and I missed 2 shots on one. It was set up a little bit differently. We were outside of the canopy, I guess you'd call that.
Oh yeah.
You know, and we were waiting for them to run into the field. And I missed one, and that was just, again, because I'd never seen one. I didn't even know what I was shooting at. And by the time somebody said shoot it, I just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Again, that's one thing, I should have asked, how do we hunt these? I told you I hadn't hunted.
Yeah.
I hadn't shot shotgun in 6-8 years. And, now you're hunting an animal with a shotgun that you haven't had a shotgun in your hand for that many years. Yeah, it probably would have been smart to do a little target practice.
But it also was kind of spur of the moment type thing, because Jeff also helped us out immensely with the permit there. Because take the opportunity where we had it was But I agree. I mean, it's one of those things that you would need to do a bit of homework with.
Oh yeah.
Bit of practicing, because they're faster.
The second time we went down, I don't know. I think we put in a total of about maybe 3 hours of hunting.
Yeah.
And we did several drives. There was one that I missed a couple shots on. That was, boy, they're fast. They're very, very fast. Small animal that fast. Wow.
Yeah.
And we were fortunate enough that last one, just as Rob had said, hey, look, sometimes they hear the dogs up high, and they will push out ahead of them. They won't be being chased by the dogs. And that's what happened. One come through, and he was just trying to get out of the way ahead of time. And we not only were able to take one, but we were able to take a ram, and we took a beautiful
massive
ram. Yeah, massive. When you look at this little thing, it's the size of a rabbit, and not a big rabbit.
Yeah.
And then you see these tiny little horns, and then I didn't appreciate how big he was.
Yeah.
Until I saw the elation on everybody's face of, oh my gosh, this is such a monster, and and obviously Rob, a guy that hunts them often, and he was ecstatic about how nice of an animal it was. Sometimes, like I said, I'd rather be lucky than good any day, and I'll take that luck, because it was just the right time. If I would have hit one of the other two, I wouldn't have had the stories, the camaraderie. And I think that second day, having the more people involved, it was a good day. It was a really special day. Yeah. Special day. And then, of course, run back, grab all our skins and everything from the little lodge that we had, and head off back to the main lodge. Bring home, come to Hunter's Hill. That's my home. It always has been and always will be from now on. I love all the other properties, but Hunter's Hill is where my heart is at.
Yeah. No, especially like we keep saying this podcast. It's just the conditions have been the best. I mean, I've been here pretty much since I was a teenager, and it's definitely probably the best I've ever seen this place. It's absolutely. We've been so fortunate. I mean, since you guys have started hunting. I mean, the amount of rain we've had, and to think about 3 years ago, we were in probably one of the worst recorded droughts in the history of the area. Yeah, so it's really, really cool that we've bounced back so nicely, and you shot some special animals, my friend. It's been
from going from like almost zero water to a ton of water.
Yeah.
And getting we've taken a few animals that we've taken before.
Yeah.
We did the Springbok Slam.
Yeah.
I did the white, the black, the copper, and the common. I did not do the Kalahari.
Yeah.
Which was not part of the package, but I wanted Asha to have that, and she did that. So she took all 5. That's tough.
Yeah.
And she's not an experienced hunter as I am. She's a good hunter. And she's a damn good shot.
She does well.
But they are a frustrating little animal. I mean, it doesn't take much of a wiggle to hit a bad shot.
Yeah.
And I think on all of them, I think there was only really one that that copper, she took that leg off, but persistence, and I was proud of her. She stuck with it and got to put it down and made sure it was down in a timely fashion. But, so retaking some of those, retook a beautiful Impala.
And your blue wildebeest.
30.5-inch blue wildebeest. Yep.
Absolutely incredible,
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about yesterday. How special was that for you?
Yesterday was a day that, boy, probably not in my lifetime I probably ever will repeat. The things in my life, a movie that comes to mind, and it kind of puts some of this in my head to begin with, was Legends of the Fall.
Okay.
And when he kind of goes off his rocker and he ends up in Africa, and
sorry, Batman, bit of technical difficulties. We were talking about the movie.
Yeah, so Atari with John Wayne is where he was collecting animals for zoos.
Yeah.
Live capture, and the other one was Legends of the Fall, and he was hunting. So actually both of them played a big role in my dreams to come to Africa and do some of these things and see the animals and whatnot. And like we were talking, yesterday we started off early in the morning, got a beautiful giraffe, and those movies, that it was I've always wanted to put my hands on a giraffe, and not in a zoo.
Yeah.
I've seen giraffes in zoos. I've actually had a giraffe actually take a carrot from my mouth and just on a bet, and it did. So it was kind of a cool moment, but they're still basically a penned animal, whereas these are pretty wild.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a high fence, but we are mass amount of property.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy hunt. It was quite the challenge to get on them, and and as tough as they are, I had no idea they were as tough as they were. And then leading, as soon as we're done with that, we come back in and rest a bit, and then we go up in the helicopter, which has always been one of my other lifelong dreams. I'd never been in a helicopter. I always wanted to be in a helicopter. Early on in my life, I actually wanted to be an onboard helicopter medic. And because I'm a big guy, I didn't meet the cut. So I veered away from being in the medical field and went back to construction. So.
Okay. Yeah, and we got a beautiful tsetse, fastest antelope in Africa.
Yeah.
That was stunning.
Yep.
And then tell us a bit about the special moment towards the end of the day.
The end of the day was, we just happened to come back to the lodge, and we're all just standing around, and and this deal with this buffalo, he's not going to make it.
Yeah.
So Greg says, Pat, I know you're not going to shoot a buffalo because you wanted to bring your double, but he said, do that one, and let's at least go get this guy down before he withers away and dies and nobody gets him. Yeah. So we borrowed his rifle, I believe a 4.58.
4.58, yeah.
Which still the shoulder's a little tender today yet, but racing out there, because this all went down at like 5:30.
Yeah.
Rainstorm coming. It was a golden opportunity, and it happened so fast, so quick. But we arranged it. Everybody jumped on board, grabbed guns, got buggies. We go out. You and I spotted him when we came through the gate, because he'd pretty much been laying in the same spot that we had told Greg. He's not really moving. He's just staying in that spot. And so I spotted him, said, Greg, he's there. We cruised up, and we stopped and allowed for you and I to stalk in about 100 yards, 150 yards, something of that nature. And, he had no idea we were there, which was kind of nice. With the bad knee, I was not anticipating a charging moment, but he had no idea. Head down, eating a little bit of grass,
sort of feeding away from us.
Yeah, exactly. Slightly quartered, and the first shot, perfect. Right behind the shoulder, right in the breadbasket, and ultimately, he said, "Hey, look, ram him again." So I threw another shot into him, and I believe that one a little bit far back on the lungs, but still a good lung shot. And that third shot, a little high on the shoulder, which just put him right down, and he was done. And that, again, it's one of those. When I first, I'm in awe of the animal.
Yeah.
I don't really think they're a pretty animal. I didn't think until he was down and I put my hands on him.
Yeah.
And he's absolutely stunning. He's a beautiful animal. We've always seen them from afar in the buggies. They just look big and rugged and nasty, and you just don't take that appreciation until you're hands on with them. And man, that changed my whole perspective. And I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah.
There's a gentleman. He's actually quite famous. He does a lot of hunting over here, and the majority of his hunts are always buffalo.
Okay.
Tony Macris.
Okay.
Tony Macris is his name, and I think one of the last shows that I seen him, he was over 75 buffaloes.
I see.
So he just loves the buffalo.
Yeah.
He will hunt some other stuff, but he just loves that buffalo. And I can't remember the name of the weapon that sponsors him. It's a pretty high priced rifle.
Okay.
And they custom make him rifles and stuff like that, and they sponsor his shows. So, I always wondered what the draw was to the buffalo that would make that man shoot that many.
Yeah.
And now I know. The heart was pumping.
Yeah.
Because we know, even though he's a sick bull, well, does that mean he's less, evil-tempered or more evil-tempered?
Wow.
And that's a coin toss at that point. Is he going to run us over or, and thank God, putting that first bullet in him right.
Yeah.
It hurt him.
Yeah.
And he just kind of stepped forward a few steps, and then 2 and 3, and he never moved again and just dropped.
You must understand with buffalo like that, it's being kicked out of the herd and really just being a solitary animal, now all of a sudden frustration's deep within them. So, they're going to want to come for you. And that's why we always said, when you get a buffalo, whether he be sick, wounded, or whatever the case may have been there, he's definitely a lot more dangerous because he doesn't have anywhere else to go. He's going to come for you.
Yeah.
And that's why I said to you, regardless of how good your first shot may be, just do a follow-up shot. Let's especially the scenario we're in, on a hillside, you don't want to be trying to run and dodging a buffalo. It would have made for a very difficult time.
Very rocky downhill.
Yeah.
Which anytime you shoot an animal, anybody that's a solid hunter knows that a wounded animal, 9 times out of 10 will not go up the hill. They'll come down the hill. So we were literally in his exit path. So if he would have chose to come that direction, then things could have changed.
Yeah. But it's also it's pretty awesome to see up close how much damage they can actually do to you if you get hold. I mean, those bosses were so hard and broken down. As old as what he was, you still knew he had a weapon on him that could do some hell of a damage.
Oh, yeah. They were polished nicely.
Yeah.
he still took very, very good care of his ornamentation, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Did anybody measure him?
No, we haven't yet. No.
So I mean, I know there's a couple side bets where he's 38, and some say he's 39.
Yeah.
But ultimately, the size isn't a big deal for me. I've had buddies in the States when I shot my desert bighorn. That was literally, we go back to the Orby, and I say, I won the lottery with the Orby.
Yeah.
I feel the same with my bighorn sheep.
Okay.
And that was in 2010, 2011, I think it was, that I drew that tag. And it is simply where COVID played into this Orby tag, the economic downfall in 2008 to 2012 played a big part in me drawing that tag. So I really felt like I won the lottery twice in my life now. But I did have a buddy. I shot. In the state of Arizona, there's different areas that hold bigger rams.
Okay.
And I happened to I got drawn for an area that I say they steal the sheep from them.
Okay.
It's a very good area, so the Game and Fish tends to take the animals from there and transplant them in other areas.
Okay.
That in conservation, that's a great thing, but you have to be careful with that conservation too, because you can overdo it, and that's what happened in that unit. So there was 5 tags in that unit, and now there's 1, because they've been chasing them so hard that they ended up picking up a lung infection or a pneumonia, and it's crippled the herd there. So they haven't taken anything out of there, and they straight went from 5 tags to 1 in 1 year.
So Pat, but now on the desert bighorn, so is that the main killers, diseases and stuff like that? So
no.
Not so much poaching or what?
No, mountain lions.
Oh really? Yeah?
Mountain lions are horrible on them, and that was one. Arizona Game and Fish actually got into some pretty hot water. We have a massive mountain lion population in Arizona. Arizona did away with the leg hold trap on public lands. You can no longer do the leg hold trap on public lands. You can only do it on private.
Trapping them in snares and
yes,
stuff.
exactly.
Okay.
So, it actually hurt the other animals, the deer populations, the elk populations, the sheep populations, because now we're finding, and Game and Fish and U.S. Wildlife and everybody says there's only one mountain lion for every 5 square miles or 6 square miles or something like that, because they roam pretty hard. I have a very good buddy of mine, and unfortunately he's called on me 3 times this year to go, and I just wasn't able to get away from work to go, trying to get all my work done to come here this year. But he's got trail cameras, and there's literally 4 or 5 animals in one still shot on the trail cam. So their theory that there's only one animal in every 6, maybe that's what it's supposed to be, but it's not what it is now, and it's wreaking havoc on our deer populations and our desert bighorn. And one of the things that they did is they dropped off 10 bighorn sheep in this area, and they knew there was too many mountain lions in that area. And the desert bighorn sheep is easy prey for a mountain lion.
Really? Yeah.
People would think differently, but it's very easy prey for them.
Okay.
And within 2 weeks, they had slaughtered 7 of them. And the whole of state, all the hunters and everybody said, "Why did you do this? The whole purpose of you guys moving these animals was to promote conservation and grow the herd and put them back where they belonged. And yet you put them in an area where you spent all that time and money." And again, this is one of the things, and I actually belong to the organization. It's the Arizona Desert Bighorn Sheep Society. And we, as a group, raise 75% of the funds for the capture and transport of those animals.
It's not relocate them.
Yes, it's not paid out of that. It's not solely paid out of tax dollar money. It's by private money, by donor money.
But Pat, so if they stop the trapping, did they increase the tags as far as hunting goes?
No, they haven't. And
so you're taking off a lot less mountain lion compared to what you used to, obviously.
Yeah, because the trappers would go in, and they, so now you pretty much run them with dogs, and you don't. With a leg hold trap, you're also not knowing what you're going to take.
Okay.
Okay, you could take a young, you could take an old, and it allowed for those numbers to be reduced properly. Now what's happening is you're seeing these guys, and they're going out, and they're treeing these lions, and they may tree 4 or 5 different lions over a week, 2 weeks, to find the one shooter. Because if I'm going to pay $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 to go hunt a mountain lion, I don't want to come back with a small cat. I want a big cat. I mean, why wouldn't, if you're quote unquote going to trophy hunt a mountain lion, you want a trophy. Yeah. So that's what's happening there, is all these youngs are being put back into the wild, and they need to be taken out as well. The whole herd management needs to be taken care of.
But so when they trap them, what is trapping them good for? Just their hide.
Their hide.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was keeping those down, and you know the funny thing is like the same thing happened with the coyotes. Coyote population just skyrocketed.
Yeah.
And
well, you're having a similar situation now with the wolves in Yellowstone and all those.
pretty much. Yeah, Idaho.
Yeah,
Montana.
they say the elk population down there, some places is as low as 30%. It's decreased the population by. It's crazy.
No, it's down to 30%.
Yeah. Oh,
They
really?
wiped out 70% of the elk in Yellowstone, and now they're. I don't know why, but the buffalo don't seem to be taking the hit like the elk are. I don't know if it's just easier for them to take an elk down versus a buffalo.
Well, they're probably, as wolves as a pack, they hunt in packs. They're probably hunting in a lot smaller packs being reintroduced. You know what I mean?
Well,
they haven't.
It goes beyond that, because now recent studies have shown these are not the same wolves that were there.
Oh.
And in past studies, and in fact, if you go to Alaska, you go to Canada and places like that,
yeah,
you'll see a pack. A pack is a very small family unit, not more than about 10 animals max.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's where they max out. Now they're finding in Yellowstone, when they reintroduce them, it's a hybrid dog. And whenever you do a hybrid, they get bigger.
Yeah.
These are big, massive dogs. I actually have an uncle that used to trap timber wolves in northern Minnesota. And fortunately he stayed alive long enough to see the reintroduction and see some of the newer animals, and he said those are not the wolves that were here. He said they're massively big, and it's decimating the deer population in northern Minnesota, as it is everywhere, and those packs are running 20 and 30 strong now.
Oh, really? As big as that?
Yeah. I can't say this for 100% certainty, because I don't know how these studies are done or any of that nature, but I have read and I have talked to people that said that these hybrid wolves, in the old pack mentality, the female, so the alpha female and the alpha male were the only ones that would mate and keep that litter. The other females would be mated, and they would bear child, or bear pups.
Pups.
Okay, but the male and the female alphas would kill those pups.
Okay.
And then all those other subdominant females would actually help to raise those other pups. So it kept the pack, it kept the numbers
very small
and manageable. And that's why you didn't see these massive packs. And I'm telling you, I've seen pictures of dogs, wolves in northern Minnesota, from tip of nose to tip of tail. I mean, you're talking 8-9 feet.
Yes.
And they were not that big.
Yeah.
They were not that big. So it's man's hand on something.
Yeah, it's this weird thing. We sort of try and create these man-made ecosystems, circle of life type thing, I like to call it. And some situations it really works well. For instance, the ROB conservation-wise, our input back into the system is a little bit better, whereas input back into the system there might have done more harm than good, actually.
Well, and you're 100% right, because it's two different forms of management.
Yeah.
One, this is an animal that you guys you didn't breed and bring back in.
Yeah.
You picked up a breeding pair.
Yeah.
From another location and transplanted them, just like with the sheep.
Yeah.
We're not crossbreeding them to make a hybrid. We're simply taking that species untouched. Do you
think they did that intentionally?
I think they have good intentions in everything, but look at how many times our good intentions tend to falter. With the Orby, the grisbuck, all these different animals that have been in transplant. Sable, it was news to me that sable were northern African animals.
Yeah.
I did not know that they were not a South African animal. But through transplanting, they've done exceptionally well here.
Yeah.
Now, you guys didn't take and mess with them genetically to make them better. You just simply transplanted them.
Okay.
You know,
I hear what you're saying. Yeah,
that portion when we make it simple, I think it's always that little saying, KISS, keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly with the bighorn sheep. It's simple until some clown that decides to drop 10 animals in a heavily infected area of mountain lions, and why wouldn't they allow somebody to go in and clean up the mountain lions a little bit before dropping them off?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like putting a 2-year-old behind the wheel of a vehicle and saying well, everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
It's not. It's a wreck.
Yeah.
And I think that's with the wolves. I think that's with a lot of things. And now I really appreciate, and I've come to appreciate very, very much what the game ranches and things like that in South Africa have done as a conservation effort wholly.
Yeah.
Obviously, the end result is to make money.
Yeah.
Business is business. Let's not joke. It's a money thing, but at the same time, the Bonte buck, man. 5 years ago, when I started hunting here, the Bonte buck herd here was 40, 50 strong. You pretty much have to keep them from running into the side of the vehicle now.
Yeah.
They're everywhere.
Yeah.
Because they're prolific and they've done well. And why is it still on a CITES Act?
Yeah.
Mountain zebra still on a CITES Act. These animals are not endangered anymore.
Yeah.
There's so many of them. Are they endangered? And that's one of those things where man's good intentions have failed us. Because it all leads right back to the lion, the rhino, and the elephant. If you put these animals on those lists, a guy is not going to come over here and pay the money to do that and not take that trophy home. You and I have already talked about this. I'm gonna, I'm hoping to return in September. If things don't go terribly bad with,
Politics.
President Biden, I'll be back here in September, and we're going to go to Limpopo, and I want a female lion. And unfortunately, I know that I'm not taking that trophy home. The best I'll ever have is I'll be able to touch it. I'll take my pictures with it. But I know at the same time that the money that I've paid for that is going to our breeding program, which we have. We have here on this ranch. We fed the animals yesterday, and people don't realize how much money it takes. Good grief, that's a big animal.
Yeah.
And they eat.
Yeah.
They eat a lot. And if that value is not there, and just like you and I have talked about, Greg Harvey's one of the last few in South Africa that has stayed true to the lion and said, I'm going to keep him.
Yeah.
So many others have either put their animals down or got rid of them. And so what did we just do? We decreased the population of something, and ultimately these lions, you and I both know, if they were to go and be transplanted somewhere, they would thrive.
Yeah.
They would thrive. They may be getting fed.
It's proven that they'll take to the wild. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and we're feeding them.
Yeah.
But they still have a killer instinct in them. You can see it during the feeding and stuff like that. Put them out there, and they'll take off. So why are we doing this? And the one thing that galls me the most is the misinformation and the ingenuine, flat-out lies of conservation by these groups. Sierra Club and PETA and all, San Diego Zoo with this giraffe thing. Why would you say that they're endangered? They're not endangered. They're not endangered. They make it sound like we need to pump a mass amount of money into this thing. Do you know why San Diego Zoo wants that? They're putting those ads out? Because to put that ad out, it's going to cost them $100,000. They're going to raise $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, $4 million. Who's
for
been
research?
For putting back into the giraffes, right? Yeah. Well, who's been going to the San Diego Zoo during COVID shutdowns? California was shut down. Everything was shut down. You couldn't go to SeaWorld. You couldn't go to Disneyland. You couldn't go to San Diego Zoo. They finally did. I want to say sometime around September, October.
Yeah.
They did open the San Diego Zoo, but you have months where they were shut down and you couldn't go to them. So what does that mean? It was a loss of money. They need to recoup their money.
Then you get it
And
somewhere.
what's the easiest way? As human beings, we're stupid.
Yeah.
Because if you put it on TV or you put it on social media, it's true.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite sayings is, Abe Lincoln always says, don't believe everything you read on Facebook. Well, he died, in the 1800s, so pretty sure he doesn't know what Facebook is.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
You put it out and it becomes true. And if it's backed by an organization that has clout,
Yeah.
then it's 100%.
Yeah.
Oh, it's got to be true. It's got to be true.
Well, if they say it so, then it must
Yeah,
be.
they're the experts. Yeah. No, they own a zoo. They own a zoo. Why don't you talk to FOSA? Why don't you talk to the countries where these animals exist and ask them? Help me with the name of the country. Was it Mozambique that outlawed the elephant just a few years back?
Kenya.
Kenya did.
1976 or 75, they stopped hunting elephants.
There was one recently, like in the last 5 years, and I tell you, I think it was Mozambique.
Possibly.
There was 32,000 32,000 elephants.
Okay.
And in 1 year, they had depleted down to 17,000.
From poaching and stuff.
I personally don't think it was poaching. I think, you have a farmer, he has a crop. And elephants, people don't understand how incredibly destructive these animals are. I mean, they do cause some havoc. And if this farmer, these are people who make very little money. This guy goes out and he farms a 10-acre plot, and he needs every cent of that money to return. Now, if on his land he's got elephants that come through, and you, Dylan Love, say to me, hey, I've got a place where we can go hunt elephant, it's going to cost you, I'll say $20,000, okay? That farmer might only make $5,000 in his best year ever in his lifetime, okay? But you take that $20,000 and now you pay him $5,000 for that one elephant. But he has a herd of elephant that comes across his property that's 40, 50 strong. So you take 2 elephants off that and you pay him $5,000 for each elephant. He just made $10,000. Okay? That crop is not his main source of income. Whatever's left, he will take, and it's just pure profit. Okay? He doesn't care if that elephant destroys half of it, a third of it, 3/4 of it. Doesn't matter.
He's not going to want to get rid of it.
He doesn't care.
Yeah.
He doesn't care. He's still going to plant it because it attracts that animal. Just like the white-tailed deer, everybody in the United States, we're putting in food plots. That's basically what they're doing. They're putting in a food plot, and they're getting their profits off of the animal.
Yeah.
Okay, so when they outlawed the hunting of them, like I said, it went to 17, and I think it went down as far as 12. And that country, and I remember reading the article, and it was in Safari Club International, and it was a big deal. And the government has since, it only lasted 2 years, and they've since said, hey, let's open the hunting back up. But the damage was done. They went from 32,000, I think, down to it was 12 or 14,000 animals. And again, part of this, one of the videos that they showed, there was a baby elephant, maybe a few months old, 6 months old. They had just walked upon it. Oh gosh, what is your PH here? World-renowned PH.
Ivan Carter.
Yes, Ivan Carter.
Okay.
And he was one of the instrumental ones in trying to get that reversed, because they went out and they had actually found this baby elephant, and it was taking its last breaths. It had no tusks, so you can't say it was poachers. You can't say it was hunters. Who in their right mind would pay that money to shoot something that doesn't have a trophy to it? Even the poachers, if the poachers were after, they'd be after ivory. Yeah. There was no ivory to take. It was a baby. It was the farmer. And you can't blame the farmer. He has to survive.
Yeah, Pat, the exact same thing is happening in the Eastern Cape right now, and it boils down to it's this weird combination between our government and your guys' government. It's almost like there's no communication there whatsoever, because you got Spaniards in camp with us right now, and they can shoot a mountain zebra, but you guys can't. But the interesting thing about it is, so we've got the exact same thing that's happening in the Eastern Cape right now. There's a few farmers that I know actually very close to where we hunted the Oribi, and that is our leopard population is growing tremendously, and it really is.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, the farmer's losing out. It's eating his cattle, it's eating his goats, it's eating his sheep. There's a cost effect to it. So what's going to start happening is these guys, when they start finding out that the leopards are going to start killing more animals than what they should, and then what they can handle, they're going to start poisoning them, shoving them down warthog holes and all that sort of stuff, instead of actually saying, you know what, I could have got, I'm just guesstimating now what a leopard hunt would cost, probably about $25,000 now.
I don't know. Yeah. I haven't even looked into it.
So 25,000, call it the farmer gets 10,000.
The farmer, if he's got 100 head, and if the leopard population is taking out, 15 animals a year, that's 15% of his profit.
Exactly.
Okay, because there's too many leopard. Now, if he can manage the population of the leopard, and he only loses 8, but he's gaining that much on selling 2 leopard hunts. He doesn't care.
He doesn't give a shit, yeah.
No, he flat out doesn't care anymore. I'm fine. I'll go ahead. I'll plan for losing 8 animals a year, 7 animals a year, because I know I'm going to get 20,000 off of these 2 leopards, and that far exceeds the value of those 14 cattle, if you will. That's where these groups they put the money together. They were done very smartly. Whoever put these groups together, they did it in a very intelligent way, because they approached the government and they said, this is what's happening, we need to act. This needs to be taken care of immediately. And they had the funding, they had the money, and you guys had no idea it was happening. And nobody said, hey, South Africa, why don't you come up, we're going to have this this meeting in Congress, and whether or not this is good or bad to do, there was no pro-con. It was just simply, con against us, as hunters, and pro their agenda, So they didn't have all the facts, and if they would have been smart, which you can't really say anything with that with the American politics, because there is no smart in American politics. So if they would have done that and done their homework and allowed these studies to happen, they would have found that what they did actually hurt more. I mean, how many more game farms in this country would have mountain zebras, would have the Bonte buck? Who is the biggest population of hunters that come to South Africa, to all of Africa as a whole? I'm going to bet, I'm not trying to make Americans sound like we're the greatest, but I would say that probably a good 65-70% of us, of everybody that comes to these countries, is American.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where the dollar's at. It's in that area. That's why you don't see Spain putting up a fuss about it, because Spain was actually, fairly smart not to get involved with that whole CITES and everything else. When things settle down a bit for me, that is actually one of the things that I want to try to do. I've actually become quite friendly with Paul Gosar. I used to go to a lot of his town hall meetings, and I was always staying there, and I would talk to him.
Well, what is he, Pat?
He's a U.S. congressman for the state of Arizona.
Okay.
He's our district. So I would take the time, and instead of just being at the meeting and not saying anything, I was always trying to be proactive. I wanted to learn what he had. I wanted to input, hey, what can we do to change things on our side as well as your side to make these things happen better and be more efficient for all of the country. And it just happened to turn out that it just little by little, I've met him more and more and more. It was Dallas Safari Club last year. Paul Gosar, now he's from Arizona, and he went to the Dallas Safari Club, and he was there for the hunting community as a whole. So we do have people, and even though he's from Arizona, he's fighting for everybody in America for their hunting rights. He's not a hunter. He's pro Second Amendment. I don't know if he shoots or doesn't shoot, but the fact is that he's in our corner, and I want to try to set it up with him to where we can maybe start bringing some of this, and obviously now, losing the Senate and the House and the presidency to Democrats, it's not something I would probably even try to attempt now, but rather wait, because there's going to be, if anybody thinks that this is going to turn out well for the U.S., they're sorely mistaken. This is gonna set some stuff back, like we've already talked about. Biden's he hasn't even taken an oath yet, and he's vowed to take down the NRA. Well, you take down the NRA, and you can kiss the Second Amendment goodbye. So that's a dangerous thing. The biggest thing right now is get through the next 2 years, and you'll see in the U.S. I mean, it's going to be one hell of a turnaround. We're going to see a lot of Democrats going by the wayside. In fact, there's even, I believe there's a congressman that just switched from Democrat to Republican the other day. And now there's a senator, he's not siding with the Democrats, and he's saying, hey, this isn't right, this is not. And I do believe that he will switch. He'll at least switch to an independent, and he possibly will switch to a Republican, which will be very helpful.
Yeah.
The whole, hands over the eyes, hands over the ears, hands over the mouth, monkey see, monkey do, acts that politicians do. We just need to get it back in control again, and I'm going to push hard to start getting some of this stuff fixed. Somebody has to do it.
Yeah, we can't all sit back, yeah.
And I have a connection with a guy, I will not say he's my friend. I know him. He always has a smile on his face when he sees me. And he absolutely refuses to have me call him Mr. Gosar or Representative Gosar. He says, you call me Paul. So I know I mean something to him. And if that's where I need to start and start pushing for that once that time comes, I aim to see that we can change all of this around in a much better way, and allowing some of these things to come back, because the only way these animal populations are going to survive, it's going to be through proactive, hard work.
We just got to look after it, Pat.
Yeah,
that's what it boils down to. The ball's in our court.
Do so much.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, and I definitely, there's still a small part of me that thinks that we're on the right track, and we've got interesting times ahead. And I just, I hope doesn't damper the season too much, because we need it. The industry needs it. The animals need it, and it's special. It's very, very special. I mean, we've shot some really unique animals, and
phenomenal animals, as always. What's my favorite saying?
Let's just go for a drive.
Let's just go for a drive. and that really is one thing that I did want to touch on. To any of you that have not come on a safari before, please do not scrimp and do a 7-day hunt. You to do a proper hunt, you can start with a small package. It doesn't matter. You can, obviously the bigger the package, the more time you're going to need. That allows for two things. One, you're not demanding so much of your pH that you're going to settle for good animals, and still gold medals and things like that, great representations, but you can settle, you can actually find outstanding animals, the once in a lifetime animals, a 5 7/8 Diker. Who out there can say they've shot a 5 7/8 Diker? It just doesn't happen anymore. That's where we're at with this. And if you're gonna come, pick your package, and if it's a 7-day package, good grief, just pay for 3 more days. Just pay for 3 more days and have a 10-day hunt. Because not only will you be able to relax on your hunt, you'll get great animals, I think, and maybe I'm promising more than what I should be, but I think you could expect to get far better animals than you would. Not that you're not going to get good animals, and not that you're not going to get great animals, But you can look for those exceptional
Yeah.
animals.
Yeah. Something different.
You can pass. You don't have to say, hey, there's a 48-inch kudu. Your guide can tell you, and that's the thing. Your guide knows you're here for 7 days. He's not. You got 7 animals, and one of them's a kudu. A 48-inch kudu is a great animal.
Yeah.
But if he knows there's a 50-inch animal, and it's going to take 2 or 3 days to get, he doesn't have the time to fulfill all the rest of your package. Spend your time here, and if nothing else, what this will allow you to do, there's great things here. Your PH does not have to be just a professional hunter. He can be a tour guide. And that's one of the things that I think everybody should do. And I'm so blessed to have had you as a PH for so many years.
Put up with all my shit.
I give you so much shit, and but I don't know how you take it. But the things we learn together, the things that I've learned about your country, your culture, and the same for you. Become friends with your PH.
It's a relationship. People, yeah.
It is. You're part of my family now. You know that. You got a little girl. We bring gifts for the little girl. We bring gifts for your wife. Tend to take care of you.
Yeah.
With the jerky a bit. So, but the thing about it is, become friends with that PH. Don't make this a rushed situation to where you don't have the time to look at the small things while you're here.
Appreciate it.
I mean, love a mud, man. Go to Addo.
Yeah.
Go. There's Buffalo Park. Go to the coast. I mean, simply go to Port Alfred and just sit on the beach.
Yeah.
Because you will not see a prettier ocean in this world that I have seen anyway. Maybe there are.
What was that ice cream? Gelato.
Gelato, see? Yeah, you can get gelato and go sit in the sand. Yeah. So, those are the little things that I think as hunters we forget to stop, and we know that this is a cost, and we know we're taking a lot of time off. But you're literally spending 2 days to get here. It's a lot of traveling. It's 30 hours plus of traveling. Even if you're direct flight, you're still over 30 hours of flying, of travel time, because no matter what, you have to hit a transfer someplace, whether it's in the U.S. For us, I mean, it was Phoenix 3 hours ahead of time. It was Detroit for 6 hours. It was, Amsterdam for 3 hours. It's Johannesburg overnight, and then hit the plane to get to East London, and then it's still a 2-hour drive to get here. Yeah. So you're gonna be traveling. Take some time to take it easy and take this in.
Enjoy it.
Enjoy this. Yeah. Enjoy it. Don't make this about a kill. We all want to have that trophy, and you will. You pick the right PH, and you're gonna go home with your trophies. I'll guarantee it. Yeah. Especially at Hunter's Hill, because if there's enough PHs here that if you're struggling, if your PH is struggling to find that one animal, the others are there to help. Hey, I spotted one over here.
Team effort, yeah.
Yeah, it's a team effort to get 100% satisfaction out of our clients, because I believe we're 97% return rate.
Yeah.
So, that speaks loudly right there. That's one thing that you always want to ask your PH as well. What is your return rate? So, you're going to get your animals, but take the time. Enjoy the views, because they're going up in that helicopter yesterday. It was spiritual.
Different experience.
I knew this farm was big. I knew it was big, and I believe we're 55,000 acres on this one farm.
No, it's more now.
Because he bought the new property. Yeah. You're right. So it's a hell of a lot more now. And I knew it was big, but flying over it, yeah, man, is it big, and just stunning. Yeah. And that's one thing, take a day. Yes, it is a little bit more expensive. You're spending this money to come here. Bring a little extra. Don't scrimp. It's the adventure of your lifetime. Don't let it go away. Go up in the helicopter. I think it's $5.50 an hour. Okay, so if you want to go for half hour, Greg even said yesterday, if you go for half hour, then it's half of it. He's a good man. and he wants to see us have a great time.
Yeah.
And shooting baboons out of a helicopter, pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, we had the springbuck that was a cull animal. It was injured or something of that nature, and was in a wrong area. And Grant said, "Hey, look, this guy here, he's not doing well. Let's take him out." And so I even got to take a springbuck out of a helicopter.
Yeah.
You know, going up in a helicopter was one thing, but hunting out of a helicopter was above and beyond.
Yeah.
So, you know, sell a kidney, do what you got to do, but bring the extra money, bring the extra time, and make the hunt the one thing that you deserve in your lifetime. And you'll find that once you've done it once, you know that you can do this again, and you don't have to do it. Packages, I mean, you can come and do a cull package. I think $1,950, and I think it's 7 animals. You know, tell me that's not affordable. And it's no different. You still get picked up in East London. You still have the phenomenal food from Max. I mean, my worst meal was delicious. You know, I mean, that says something.
Yeah.
You know, my worst meal is delicious. So, you get that food, you get that lodging, you get your pH, all of it's still in that package, but you don't have to spend 10 grand, 20 grand. I have buddies I've been posting on Facebook. Oh man, how did you do that? How can you afford to do this? You don't have to sell your house or put another mortgage on your house to come and do this hunt.
It's almost like you just need to just get here and everything
Just come.
will be okay.
Just come one time, and I'll prove to you that you can come multiple times. You know, I was watching an episode of. Excuse me a second. I was watching an episode of Keith Warren, and he said to me, said to all of us, I guess you should say, he said, Africa is one of those most unique places. He said, I don't want to go every year because he says I don't want to get burned out on it.
Yeah.
So he said, I make sure I go every other year. And I thought, I don't know how you can get burned out on South Africa. You know, I really don't.
Yeah.
It's such a diverse country.
So many things to do.
2 hours we can be on the coast, enjoying seafood.
Gelato.
Yeah. I mean, enjoying, fine restaurants and a fun day off. And the next 4 hours later, you can be in a place like Uniondale, which is
rugged.
Very rugged, very, very rugged, but a very challenging hunt. A very challenging hunt. But, you know, a little bit of mountains, but a lot of flats.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be a great addition to the company. Dankshire will be a sanctuary for the springbucks, because there's good springbuck there for sure.
Yeah.
So 3 hours later, you're back in Hunter's Hill. 2.5. I should say actually like 2. I think you're at Rocklands. 2.5. I think you're at Comray. I have yet to hit the Limpopo, which
we'll do. Because you pretty much finished your Tiny 10 now for the Eastern Cape. We have to go up north.
We have to go someplace. So more adventure lies.
Well, Pat, man, I think we're running out of time because we still need to go for our drive today.
Yeah.
But from myself, I want to say thank you for everything you've done for me. It's been an incredible journey. It's not much, but you have finally become part of the Buffalo Club.
Oh, right on.
It's just a nice
Thank
little
you, man.
token to say congratulations. Take it back with you.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, well done.
I'll just need I might need a new PH Journal hat because mine is a little sweaty.
No, we've
it's
got
pretty
it.
hot here. And the allergies, that was kind of the other thing. Coming from winter to summer, and the allergies got me.
Yeah.
That's why I'm a little hoarse. But I appreciate everything you do for me, Dylan.
No.
I really do.
Likewise,
I know you're my family, and I'll always be there, and I'll always be here.
Good, fantastic times ahead. I don't know.
Yes, sir.
I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And let's go for a drive.
Let's do it.